A speedy welcome to the show for everyone. This is Speedy Talk on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM, and I'm your host on the show. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior, and Speedy Talk is a program for the youth where we talk about things that concern and affect the youth. And today our focus on the show is rich parent dependency. Why do some young people become less responsible because they know their parents are wealthy? When we have rich parents and then refuse to work, refuse to build a career path on their own, and just depends on that wealth of the parents. Okay, because my dad is this in life, or my dad has this kind of money, or this is my dad's status, then I would not do anything in life. And how does it actually affect them? How do you think that it affects them? And what kind of influence do you think that actually brings out to other young people out there? That is what we are going to be talking about today. There are some young people who come from comfortable homes where everything, almost everything they need is already provided. The school fees, the daily needs, even lifestyle support, everything is covered. But one thing you find most about some of these people is that dependency, or that mentality of I am not going to do anything, or I am not going to work, I am not going to even try to build a life on my own, because my dad has the money, my mom has the money, and then I have all I need to spend. Some persons, even when they are put into opportunities, okay, they are provided with maybe businesses, you can run this because I have the money and I have supported my child to actually go through with this. They actually refuse to be responsible. So why does this happen? Why is it that having rich parents actually makes some people become less responsible and just keep getting dependent? And how do you think that this actually affects the young people? You also can call in to be part of this conversation, and the number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 08084275464. That is 0808-427-5464. Should having rich parents, wealthy parents that are able to take care of needs and everything like that, be reason enough to stop someone from not working, not building a career on their own? Hello?
Hello.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Nane Vanzak. I'm calling at George's Coastal Extension.
All right, welcome to the show, Nane.
Okay, thank you.
Go on.
When you brought up this topic, I say, wow. Actually, it is 98% of what people are doing today. Once my father has money, I'm already inside the money. So even if I need to buy recharge card, Daddy, give me money, let me go and buy recharge card. So, this program, I actually call not to contribute. I want to let you know that I'm also with you on this program. I want to learn a lot from people.
All right.
From the contributions. Because the topic has really touched me.
All right. Thank you so much, Nanen, for calling in to be part of the show this afternoon. This is Speedy Talk on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And I'm your host on the show. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior. And this afternoon on Speedy Talk, well, we are talking about rich parent dependency. That thing where someone, maybe some young persons who come from rich homes, refuse to work, refuse to take responsibility. Sometimes you see them, okay, we are just supposed to flex, we are supposed to do this, we are supposed to maybe belong to groups where we'll just spend and then not take responsibility, not even build a career on their own, because, well, I have the rich parents that are going to take care of this. And how does it actually affect them? Why do some young people, most actually, not want to be responsible, not want to take care of their own self, not want to build something for their own selves because they have rich parents? Now, you also can call in to be part of this conversation. And the number for you to call is 0808 for asking. That is 0808 427 5464. Hello?
Yeah, hello?
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Marysyntia.
Yes, good afternoon to you too, Mr. Dennis.
Yeah, thank you. You see, the topic is very interesting, but if we want to analyze the causes of this, it will be more deeper than what you are saying on the faces. Back in the days, our parents, especially from this part of the world, are still people. People never used to joke with their children in terms of letting them learn what to do to earn a living.
Okay.
And that was why even when we were going to school, you go back home, you still go to the farm, not because, of course, everybody knows that farming is difficult, but it's what put food on the table.
Okay.
So laziness was not, one of the things that was, identifiable with us here, because people knew that you have to learn this thing. So when people started making money through politics, and because that's the only venture that brings money overnight, and then this, people begin to do things that are injurious to their children's future, thinking that they are helping them. I'm not saying you should not be there for your kids, but some people, for crying out loud, they are undergraduates, they're giving them 500,000, 1 million, so they've already seen that they've had enough. But it's one of the reasons why even business ventures and everything in Africa is not really outliving the owner, because you can actually live on somebody else's plans. So if you love your child, quite all right, always make sure to teach them how to fish and not to give them fish alone. It is detrimental to their own well-being as people, because they will end up being a liability to themselves. I've seen situations where people these days, immediately their parents die, the first thing they start thinking of is how to sell properties.
Okay.
You understand? So that they can continue the kind of lifestyle they've been used to. So they're not learning. I'll tell you a personal experience.
All right, go on.
If you use your phone, or anybody that's listening to this program, use your phone and Google the name Jeb Pritzker. Jeb Pritzker is the governor of the state of Illinois in the U.S. In fact, by monetary value, he's one of the richest American politicians. But you see the way these people do, Even though the companies are theirs, their children don't just have access to money like that. They'll
Mm-hmm.
have to first groom you, let you know that for this legacy of this business and this family to continue, you
Mm-hmm.
have to do apprenticeship. Just
Mm.
like the Igbo guys would brings people, teach them how to, learn a particular trade, so that if they have money, they know how to do. Because it's not only about coming to set up a shop. What about the supply chain? Do you have people who can trust and give you goods,
Mm.
sell and bring back? So these are the things. So
Mm-hmm.
if people make money, I call it easy come, easy goes.
Mm.
Once they make this money and then begin to see that their children are supposed to live like kings, even while you have no foundation. Because if you don't have what you're doing to get money,
Yes.
you will know that by the time you keep 10 million, it may not last you up to 3 months,
Mm.
depending on your lifestyle.
Mm.
So if people are making money, they will know that money is difficult, it's difficult to make. And it's not only about money.
Mm.
The people who have their children these days, you will see a girl up to, almost finishing secondary school. She knows nothing in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the maids are doing this, the maids are doing that. So we're not really helping ourselves, we're not helping our children.
Okay.
So when situation turn around, you see that people will just collapse. They can't be able to absorb the shock because they don't have that the strength.
All right. All
So
right.
to me, it's better if people let their children learn what to do
Mm.
and then have value for money and make sure that it's not as if you don't like that child. You do,
Mm-hmm.
but discipline the child in such a way that I used to know this man who he would not allow any of his kids to drive until maybe when you are undergraduate, it's okay. In case I want to send you somewhere, or maybe
Mm.
when you want to attend. But you see, these days, some children are even they're less than 15. They're trying to see how they will drive. So the things that the parents are doing is not love. It's
Okay.
rather, to me, they're just only helping to destroy them.
All right. All right.
That's my own take. I'm not saying that it's binding on everybody anyway.
All right. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for calling
Yeah.
in to be part of the show this afternoon. This is Speedy Talk on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And I'm your host on the show. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior. And this afternoon, we are talking about rich parents' dependency. Why do some young people find it difficult to actually remain responsible, find it difficult to become driven? They are less driven because they have a rich parent. We see a lot of things like this happen in life. Okay, simply because this person is from a wealthy home, they already start keeping up with some lifestyle, not building things for their own selves, simply because, well, I have daddy who is going to pay the money, I have mommy who is going to who is going to sort out the bills. Why do I need to work? Why do I have to build something for my own self, instead of looking at it as an opportunity to actually make themselves, grow with something, knowing that, okay, you even have that money present, you have parents that might be supportive to actually help you out, but then instead they use it as an opportunity to become irresponsible, to spend carelessly and then not build anything for themselves. That is the most, concerning part of it. Not building anything, not learning anything for themselves, because, well, daddy's money is going to save the day, or mommy's money is going to save the day. So you also can call in to be part of this conversation, and the number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. Call in and tell us why this is so, and also how you think that this affects them in the long run. Because when people do things like this, well, they might not even know that, okay, this is something that is going to might affect me, but let us hear what you think. And we heard from Mr. Dennis, and he was talking about how he thinks that most of the time the causes is actually from the parents. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Tavish Magilaga. I'm calling from Wewe Quarters, Makudi.
All right. Welcome to the show, Tavishima.
Yes. The problem there actually mostly is from the parents.
Okay.
We need to train the children
Mm-hmm.
the way that by the time they will be able to be independent.
Mm.
They should know that what you have does not really belong to them.
Okay.
They should go out and work. Have their own thing.
Mm.
Without depending solely on the things you have.
the property and the money and all of that.
Mm.
So if you actually the upbringing,
Yes.
if the way the parents some parents bring their children up, they already have that mindset that the things you have are theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of them to know that those things are not actually mine.
Mm.
So if I want money, I must, ask daddy or mommy that I want to do this, do that.
Mm-hmm.
But if actually my own money, I can do whatever I want with it.
Mm.
Yeah, or any other thing. So if we change that mentality,
Mm-hmm.
that what my parents have is not actually mine.
Mm.
If they are more, I will only add to what I have.
Mm-hmm.
But they are no more. If they decided to give it to someone else, even if they do not even know at all,
Mm.
would you kill yourself?
Mm-hmm.
If your dad decided that your uncle is good to you,
Yeah.
to him, that you're going to give some of his property to him, and he left you with just one, and it's not enough for you to take care of yourself, what would you do?
Okay.
Stranded.
All right.
So, I want to advise that even if your daddy is rich, you need to go out and work, hustle, so that we also have your own business and all of that, to be able to take care of yourself.
All right.
And then so that your parents are no more, then what they have you only add to the one that belongs to you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
That's my own advice.
Thank you so much for calling in, Mr. Tavishima, to be part of the show this afternoon. This is Speedy Talk on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And I'm your host on the show. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior. And this afternoon, we're talking about rich parents' dependency. You can also call in to be part of this conversation. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm Nanin Vanzak. This is my second time of calling.
All right, welcome back to the show, Nanin.
Okay. After hearing to some speakers, I want to also contribute. You see, if your father, Mary, I'm talking to you now. If your father is the governor of Benue State now, I believe you won't be on this station right now, because your father, the governor of Benue State, with his pride. My own daughter should not be at the stations hustling there. She should be in Abuja in Canada.
Some people are places because of passion, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, my father is this, so I shouldn't be here, and I shouldn't, or what is even wrong with a place that, okay, because my father is this, I shouldn't be somewhere. So personally, I feel like, okay, just to correct that though, before you go on with what you're saying, if my father was the governor like you are talking about, I would still be here if I was meant to be here, maybe because of the passion, maybe because I'm not looking for that money, but because I love what I am doing, you get, or because I actually want to build something for myself. I actually want to build a name for myself, not just be called the governor's daughter, but then you know me as Marysyntia right now. You don't know me as, okay, I am the governor's daughter. So go on with what you were saying.
Okay, actually, I was trying to look at the parents' pride. That the pride of a parent makes his children wayward. Let me talk about my own personal experience. There was a time I wanted to go and weed somebody's compound. The man called me and told me I should look for somebody to weed his compound for 5,000 naira. So I looked around, couldn't see any guy. So I took my small hoe. I wanted to go and weed. My father said, "Where are you going?" So I was going to weed our neighbor's compound. It's 5,000 naira. Jesus Christ, they almost disowned me that day. How dare you? You can't do this. You can't. You cannot, as my son, you cannot go and labor for another person.
Okay.
So you see, those are some of the things.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
So some of these boys, young people, they really want to go and do what others are doing. But because my father, their parents are this or that, and they hinder them from going to do all those sorts of things.
Okay.
I'm also a victim.
All right, go on.
So I to me, I think 90%, or I don't want to say 100%, because some boys, I don't know about them, but 90% of this is comes from parents' pride. They don't want their children to go and learn some of these. Thank you.
All right, all right. Thank you so much, Nani, for calling in to be part of the show this afternoon. This is SPEEDy Talk on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And my name is Marysyntia Hangeior with you on the show this afternoon. We're talking about rich parents dependency. Why is it that some young persons actually find it difficult, to work, to be responsible when they have these rich parents? Now, you also can call in to be part of this conversation. Number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. Call in and let us hear from you and tell us what you think. And we heard from different callers, and I was talking about how Danny says, okay, he thinks that it has to do with the way that parents give this training of, okay, having too much access to everything that they want, and then they grow up getting used to it. Like, I just have to ask anyway and be given this thing, not growing up with that mindset that I also have to work. And also on to what Nanen says about because of some parents' pride, that is why some people end up in that position. Some young persons end up in that position where they are not doing anything because, okay, my parent doesn't want me to go out. But then people have organizations that they work with their children, like even right from small, like they start training them, bringing them up, like this is how we handle, this is how we are going to work in this our organization, exposing them to their own stuff. So even apart from, okay, allowing your children, to be honest, okay, if I have a company of my own, then I would want my child, right, to also be there. Of course, if they want to, like, I want them to also work there, not to simply sit and then spend the money without knowing how it is being made, without the exposure, without so when it comes to what you said, Nana, and if you're still listening, when it comes to what you said, sometimes it's not about just allowing that child to go out and hustle, because it's not like a movie where we say, okay, we are trying to test if you're able to live without the money, so go out and then maybe do a sweeping job outside. There are some young persons, actually, who have these rich parents that are willing to, this is a space, you have to do something and the company come and work, but they are only interested in that money, in spending that money, and they're not building something for themselves, whether outside or in their own family companies, or whatever the parents own that actually makes them rich in the first place. They are not interested in building their own selves, and that is something that we are talking about, how it actually affects them, because at the end of the day, you just end up identifying, just as the example that Nana was trying to make with me, you end up identifying as the governor's daughter, and not, okay, the person that you are for your own self, or not something that maybe you had that people know, okay, this is from your brain, this is the knowledge that you have, this is how intelligent this person is, this is this person's impact. You have the name, that's a name is just there, under someone, but then something for your own self, a career path for your own self, self-development for your own self, it is not there. So you also can call in to be part of this conversation, and the number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. It's 0808 427 5464. Why do some young people become less driven when their parents are wealthy? When they have rich parents, all of a sudden, I'm not going to work, like, I don't have to do anything, I don't have to do this, I don't have to do that. And do you think that this is bad? Is it completely bad, or is it to some extent like bad, or do you think that it affects even their personal growth? Because some persons don't think about it like that. They were just brought up, ended up in this rich place, and this is all I have to do. But we have heard people come out with stories of how they ended up maybe even disappointed, they ended up regretting, I did something like this, or I don't know anything for myself. And sometimes you got to be thinking about what you actually represent as well. If you're saying, this is where I come from, this is the man that is my father, or these are the people that are my parents, who have this kind of knowledge, who have this kind of impact on society. So what do you yourself have to say for your own self? Like, are you also in the same line like your family members, that you're hyping and then praising and saying, okay, they have all the money? Can you boast of something for your own self? So call in and let us hear from you. Number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. That is 0808 427 5464. Call in and let us hear from you this afternoon on SPEEDy Talk. And in many cases, when support is always available, the mindset of I must figure things out myself, can become weaker. And that is not to say, just like what Mr. Dennis said earlier, that is not to say you're not supposed to support this. But there are people who have those parents, that are willing. I want you to do this business. I want you to go into this. I saw a typical situation like that where someone was given some amount of money. Okay, start this. Instead, he took it and then went and was involving himself in different other things, just spending it on girls and a lot of stuff like that. So sometimes, even when that money is offered, you just know that yes, there is a hand that provides that money. So even after spending this on, squandering it and not actually doing that business, then I'm just going to apologize, like, okay, sorry, daddy, I won't do this again, and the money still comes in. And while there are benefits, of actually being born in that kind of environment, it's important for you to actually use it wisely to be able to also do something for yourself. So that is what we are talking about today. And you can still call in quickly before we go. Number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 08084 427 5464. Call in and let us hear from you. We're talking about rich parents dependency, and also still on some of those effects, like people have mentioned, that weak sense of independence, low drive to build personal goals or career, and even difficulty handling responsibilities without parental support. Hello. All right, you can still call us back on 0808 427 5464. That's 0808 427 5464. And we're talking about some of the ways that it affects personal growth. So if you're in that situation, or if you're somewhere like that, and then you're thinking, well, this is probably going to last forever, so I don't have to. It's actually an opportunity for you to do something for yourself. You have that great opportunity. Well, you have it the easy way. So instead of doing something, some people become irresponsible, looking at, okay, it's an opportunity for me to do whatever I like and not be responsible. And that is where we fail at. So still more of those effects that this has, lack of urgency to even develop survival skills. So what happens, in all these cases where you no longer have those supports that was actually coming in, then what do you do? Do you then begin from square one, or wouldn't it have been better if you used the opportunity that you had to be able to build something for yourself? And at the end of the day, having wealthy parents, it's not the problem, It is actually a privilege. But the real question is, are young people using this privilege? People who are in that situation, are they actually using it to grow? Hello? Hello? Yes, good afternoon. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Annabelle from Hangeior.
Okay, could you speak up louder, Annabelle?
First of all, let me appreciate for this story.
Oh, we cannot hear you clearly, and if you can call us back quickly, then you catch up with us. And I was talking about how having the wealthy parents, that is not the problem. That is not the problem. It's actually a privilege. It's actually an opportunity for you to have a name for your own self, to continue in that line, and then not be the disappointment, to yourself and even to the people who gave you the opportunity to be there in the first place. And because comfort can provide stability, but independence is what builds strength, right? And well, that is it for Speedy Talk today. We have been talking about rich parents dependency, that mindset that people have, or that my parents are going to provide everything because they have it, and then end up not doing anything, for themselves, not building a name, not involving themselves in anything like that. Instead, become irresponsible. And I've been your host on the show this afternoon. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior. At 3:55 p.m. if today is your birthday, then Speedy Kids are going to be wishing you a happy birthday. And also up next at 4 p.m. the Speed Link comes on right here on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And until then, keep enjoying music of your life.
All right, here we go. Rick D's counting down to number one this week. What in the world is Taylor?